Case study number 3, average handle time analysis by agent by queue. You've been asked to complete an average handle time analysis by team, by agent, by queue for the past 18 rolling months. To do this, you'll require the Cisco call detail data source as well as the agent list. Navigate to the Tableau website, make sure you're in Explorer, and create a new workbook. The first data source that we need to add is the MPD calls com. We can just scroll down to find it, or you can do a search for com and then open it and connect. We'll also add the agent list CE311, same as we did in the last example. So we'll click on the cylinder and we'll go to agent list CE311, highlight it, and hit connect. To build the report, we're going to use the MPD calls com as the primary data source. So click on that and go down to where it says routed CSQ and drag it to the filters pane. You'll want to select only the queues that have been highlighted in the workbook. Once you have them all selected, hit OK. Next, we're going to create a calculated field. So I'm going to click on my arrow, hit create calculated field. This one is going to be named Q. And we're going to type the formula as in your workbook. Copy and paste. Hit OK. We're going to drag the new Q to the column shelf. Next, we're going to create 2 additional calculated fields. The first one will be handled calls, so we'll hit create calculated field, handled calls. And the formula is simply the number 1. Hit OK. The second calculated field is called AHT, and it is the sum of the handled time times the newly created handled calls divided by the sum of the handled calls. And hit OK. This will create a proper weighted average. As we want to display more than one measure, we're going to drag the word measure names onto the row shelf and then scroll down, and we'll select measure values from the very bottom of the list and place it on the text card. This will immediately add everything that we have available to us, but we're going to filter that. So if we drag the measure names onto the filter shelf, we'll want to select only the average handle time that we created and the handled calls that we created, and hit OK. As we're going to add agent names and team leads to the list, we're actually going to need to move the measure names to the column shelf so that we see the average handle time and handle calls underneath each of the queues. To get the proper agent names and team leaders onto the list, we're going to have to create a link between the agent list and the MPD calls com. Unfortunately, as in the previous example, there is not a natural link between them, so we're going to have to create one. If you right-click on 3 and 3 on the agent calls com and go create calculated field, give this a name of 3 and 3U, and the formula is simply the word upper with 3 and 3 in brackets. I'll hit OK. And then I'm going to switch to the agent list, and I'm going to create the exact same calculated fields. We'll go create calculated field. It must be named exactly the same thing. And then it's the exact same formula because 3 and 3 exist in this list as well. We'll hit OK. And now we're going to paperclip the 3 and 3U. The reason we created the 3 and 3U variable is that sometimes in the agent list, the 3 and 3s are in uppercase and sometimes they're in lowercase. By making the uppercase in both of the data sources, we ensure a perfect match. Scroll down to Team Leader and drag it onto the row shelf. Next, scroll up to Agent Name and drag it onto the row shelf, but after the Team Leader. Next, we'll apply our date filters. Go into the MPD's calls column and drag the call start to the filters pane. But this time, we're going to select relative dates and hit next. Make sure we're on relative dates. Choose, instead of days, choose months, the last, and make sure it says 18. Then hit OK. This list shows us too many agents. So the first thing we'll do is we'll switch to the agent list and scroll down to where it says F active and drag that to the filters pane. F active is simply a Boolean value on whether or not the agent is an active agent or not. So we want to say true to select only the active agents. Hit OK. Now we still have too many agents, but the simple fix to this one is to scroll down to MUID and drag this up under F active as well. And in here, we're just going to select MU101, MU102, and MU500. And then hit OK. Next, we'll want to add some totals. So again, we'll click on the Analytics tab, drag the word totals onto subtotals, column totals, as well as row totals. What this will do is it'll give us a subtotal by team, as well as a total by agent, and one at the very bottom as well for a grand total by queue. Average handle time should be displayed with a single decimal point. To accomplish this, we'll just simply right-click on average handle time in the measure values list and go to format number. Here we're going to choose number with a single decimal point with no units. And then you can simply click out. You'll notice that we have a single decimal point behind all of the average handle times now.